Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now in today's episode, we're going to be talking about travel cards. Specifically, when it comes to travel cards, you have a lot of different options out there. So what comes with each card? What are the pros? What are the cons? How do you know which ones you should be choosing from between airline or hotel cards? It all can be confusing. So if that sounds interesting to you, you want to get a trip planned with the best possible card available to you, then go ahead, press the subscribe button. Let's get to work. Okay, so let's start off with a few definitions. When it comes to travel cards, again, we have what I would call three different options. You have agnostic cards, you have airline cards, and you have hotel cards. So I'm going to define all three of those, and through that definition, we'll talk about the pros and the cons of each, the differences. Then we'll come out on the other side and figure out a few use cases to help you figure out which card you should be considering in a world where maybe you only want one travel card. So let's get to it, and we'll start with what I'm calling agnostic travel cards. So to be clear here, by agnostic travel cards, what I mean is cards like the Amex Platinum card, Sapphire Reserve, Sapphire Preferred. They are not co-branded with a specific hotel or airline in mind. So again, these are travel cards, so they're going to be travel focused. The multipliers are going to be travel focused as well. But the difference here with them being agnostic is the multipliers here, you're going to see like the Sapphire Reserve 3x on all travel, or the Platinum card 5x back on all airlines or any airline booked directly, right? It's not locked in to a specific chain of airline or hotel. Now you'll also see some credits here that are travel related. $300 travel credit for the Sapphire Reserve. You'll also see the $200 airline incidental credit on the Platinum. When you get further down into the benefits, again, this isn't a comparison of Chase versus Amex. These are just probably the most front of mind for most people to go along with. Now another reason they're agnostic, because when we talk about points earnings, you have the most flexibility. Now, yes, you could cash them out for cash back, but that's not really the point of why you'd really be considering some of these cards. So most card issuers, if they have a travel card, they have a travel portal. So, Chase, Amex, Citi, Bank of America, they all have like a portal where you can still go and book travel. Now, usually, I know in the case of Chase, for example, it's kind of like a Chase sticker on front, but like it's an Expedia backend, for example. So if you're unfamiliar, think of something like that. But you can basically go book flights, hotels, car rentals, you name it, through there, and you can use your points usually at a 1-to-1 to do that. Or you could do something called travel partners, right? Or transfer partners. And so in the case of Chase, you could take your ultimate reward points, you could transfer them out to Hyatt for a hotel, or you could transfer them out to Marriott. In the case of American Express, you can transfer out to Marriott, you can transfer out to Hilton, you can transfer out to other airlines. So because they're agnostic to a limit, right, the card issuer still has to have a partnership with them. Because they're agnostic to a limit, you have more flexibility than the other two cards we're going to talk about next. So with that said, we'll transition next to airline cards. Now, airline cards are not agnostic, so they're going to be co-branded, so they're going to be issued by Chase, American Express, Citi, you name it, and they're going to be what I mean by co-branded, so you have the Chase cards for United, or the Delta cards by American Express. These cards only really give you any value at their respective airline chain. Now, as they're travel cards, you're still going to see travel multipliers, but except for when the agnostic cards, we had a wide range of things that counted as travel. This time, you're going to see something like 3x back on Delta purchases, 3x back on United purchases, and there might be some dining in there as well, but it's not going to be nearly as broad. You're not going to be able to get 3x back from a Delta card on a United flight like you could with the Platinum card, where it's just 5x back for everyone. Those points that you get for those multipliers are going to be deposited directly into that airline account. So if you turn the card over, usually your Sky Miles or United Miles number will be on the back of it. So it's good because you don't have to worry about transfer partners or a travel portal or anything like that. You know that if you have a United card, you're only booking United flights through United. It's very easy to do. As with agnostic cards, you had the benefits of the flexibility, but it still does require some homework and research to figure out where you want to go, how you want to do it, and why. Airline cards and hotel cards that we'll get to is normally their tiered base, so we have the Platinum card at $550, and the Gold card below that's not really a travel card. You have the Green card, but there's quite a bit of disparity between the two cards there. So as a result, you're really stuck paying $550 if you want the Platinum card, or $700 now as it is. With the co-branded cards, there's definitely tiers, right? So, the Delta cards, there's a Blue, there's a Gold, there's a Platinum, and there's a Reserve, all different price points. Now, those price points kind of reflect what you can expect to get with the card. So So these things range from more multipliers, lounge access, global entry credits. A lot of times on the airline cards, they're going to be selling checked baggage fees. They're going to be selling early boarding fees, not, like going in with first class, but like priority one boarding, I think is what Delta calls it. After the important people board, you can get on. Now, one thing to note here, there's not really status to be had with airline cards. And the reason there's not status to be had with airline cards is because the plane's only so big and there's only so many seats, right? So they want to save those top seats for the people who've actually earned the status, who are flying with them all the time, or for those people who, fringe and can be upgraded to the next ones. Now, our third type of travel card is the hotel card. This is very similar to the airline card we just covered. Again, these are going to be co-branded cards, so Amex cards with Hilton. They also have Marriott cards. Chase has Hyatt cards. Now, again, this follows the same exact format as airline cards, and multipliers are going to be travel-based, but they're going to be tied into that specific chain. Same with the credits. If you go up in tiers, for example, Hilton has multiple tiers of their cards. By the time you get to the top tier Aspire card, then you're talking about, having priority pass and some lounge accesses and things like that, some statement credits for that work for travel. The thing here, the main difference here is the status piece, right? So with airlines, they're really giving you check bags and things like that, but no status. With hotel cards, because hotels, there's so many more of them, there's so many more rooms available that, they're gonna give you status. So then we just referenced the Aspire card. Aspire card is going to give you diamond status. There's other Hilton cards that will give you gold status. The platinum card we talked about earlier will give you gold status. So they're much more willing to give you status with the hotels because it's easier, to accommodate that than it is to accommodate airlines. So when it comes to travel, those are our three main cards: the Agnostic, the hotel, and the airline cards. Now, if you wanted one card, just one travel card, how do you pick the one that's best for you? And I think this is a point that's really gotten harder and harder to decide over the years. Here's a few things I would try to consider. The first one is, what kind of traveler are you? And by that I mean, do you prefer like luxury hotel stays, luxury flying, things like that, or are you trying to stretch your points out as far as you can go? And so here's what I mean by that. I think a lot of times we get caught up in like, wow, this card has diamond, this card has gold, and that sounds all well and good. But if I use myself for example, I don't really stay at places where there's much of a chance to be upgraded, or the upgrade is like going to be meh, right? When I'm going places, I'm really trying to stretch my points out as far as I can, and I'm generally of the mindset that you should spend as little time in the hotel room as possible. Historically, the places that I've gone, I've had gold status, or you could have diamond status, but at a Hampton Inn, where are they really upgrading you to, right? Like, that's one of the things about, having diamond. You get upgraded, you get the better room. But if there's no better room, then, like, what's the point, really? Now, on the other hand, if you do prefer that stuff, that's perfectly fine. But just keep in mind that you're also going to have to stay at places that offer those upgrades or have the ability to upgrade you to something that's worthwhile and meaningful. And of course, the same could be said of flying. When we talk about lounges, again, lounges sound really good, and it is nice to have a lounge in your back pocket if you get a random layover, a flight delay, or something like that. But who's always late to the airport? Me. So who doesn't always get a chance to go to the airport and head straight to the lounge? Me. So as a result, I should probably value Delta Sky Club a lot less than I do. It just sounds cool and you like to have it. Now, one more thing to talk about here is, how much do you care and how much work are you willing to put into it? By that I mean, when we talk about our Agnostic cards, in the very beginning, if you're going to go with the Chase of the world, right? For example, you can go Travel Partners, you can go Travel Portal. But that's going to require a little bit more work, especially if you want to get the best value from it, right? As opposed to if you just have an airline-specific or hotel-specific card, those points end up directly into that account, and you know exactly where you're going to redeem them and how you're going to redeem them. So if you don't mind putting in the work, then that's all well and good. Probably go Agnostic because they have more flexibility. But however, if you don't want to put in that work and figure all that out, totally fine. I understand it. Or you're just really already only going to stay at Hilton anyways, which is also fine, then maybe just go with the co-branded one and just save yourself some headache. And of course, if you're a mix of all of those things, then you probably want the Agnostic cards we talked about in the beginning, because those are going to give you the most flexibility. You can quickly go Travel Partners, Transfer Partners, Travel Portal, what have you, and make that work. Now, of course, if you have a Player 2 or a Travel Buddy, what have you, then the optimal strategy would probably be one of you get the airline card, one of you get the hotel card, and that could definitely be a powerful combination between two people. But overall, again, I think the thing to watch out for is just getting caught up in all the things, the cool things that these cards offer, and you really have to understand what is it that you actually use, that you want to use, and what is it that you actually value, and how do you value it. Because if not, then you're going to end up getting the Hilton Aspire card because everyone says it's a really good card, and it is a really good card, but then you're going to be like me and staying at, the lowest Hilton tier you can find just to extend out your points, and then like, hey, you have diamond status, you want to go from the first to the third floor and also look at the brick wall just at a higher level, right? It's not really worth it. Ultimately, I'm not really going to tell you which one to go with. Again, I just think it matters on what you want to do and what matters to you, and so just be careful that you don't get caught up in the hype. So anyways, guys, if you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel, posting content just like this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, of course, with that Sunday recap episode. There's all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. My question for you guys is, let me know which type of travel card you would prefer if you could only have one. What are some things that you value in a travel card and why? Love to get your thoughts on that. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.